After the manifestation, it is said that it does no harm to name it material or physical, because you cannot harm the fact, but it is always elevated or exalted to the spiritual. That was Jesus' meaning when he said, If ye exalt all things to spirit, they are in existence already. Evidently, he had that very thing in mind when he gave the prayer, Father, I thank you that you have heard me, and that you do hear me always. He knew fully that that which he saw as his ideal was already accomplished. To him it came forth instantly. Then he gave the statement that if you go forth into the vineyard, it is ready for harvest. Now, if we take that definite position, there is no question but that we would be out of all the difficulty completely. He immediately rose above every difficulty by the very attitude that he took. It was not a long, arduous process for him. It was instantaneous. He saw completely through the non-existence of them. It is quite evident that he never denied any condition. He always rose above it to the true spiritual condition, and then there was no need for denial or for paying any attention to anything but the true spiritual condition. He said, I live always in spirit. Our Bible says, I live always in a spirit, being an entirely wrong interpretation. The interpolation of a where it does not belong makes a lot of difference. That is where many mistakes were made in our understanding. The Christian Bible says God is a spirit. The original was God is spirit, never confining him to one attribute, to one condition. One writer said it is like trying to crowd God into the quart measure of our intellect. Spirit and mind are synonymous. They are one and the same in vibratory influence. That which seems to make a difference is that we take our thoughts as indicating mind. Mind is consciousness, for mind and consciousness are inseparable. The element of consciousness is thought, and when conscious of spiritual fact, there is no difference to us between mind and spirit. We are in a state of spiritual consciousness. You are right in thinking of mind as consciousness in action, but so is spirit consciousness in action. They, too, are synonymous. Either may become quiescent or become submerged in the individual, but they are not submerged in the outer condition. If the outer is like the inner, mind is never submerged in the individual, but is only quiescent. The individual only thinks that it is submerged, and to that person it may become non-existent, because he is not conscious of it. The consciousness is always there and springs into existence instantly if one projects consciousness toward that which always is, the spiritual fact. The element of consciousness is the directive rather than the motivating agency of mind. Thus, it is indispensable in the sending forth of the emanations of mind, or as we put it, in stepping up the emanations of mind to their true state, providing the element of consciousness is true to the spiritual fact. Today, many scientists are approaching this same conclusion regarding the underlying cause of all things. They dissolve the whole structure of substance and resolve it all back to emanating energy, identical with spirit. Spirit is all-pervading. It manifests in everything. It is found that all elements, including radium, are reduced to that one primal element, emanating energy. But this energy, in the last analysis, is not blind force, but intelligent force. It knows what it is doing. Scientists even admit that there is a certain form of electricity that seems to know what it is doing. This all-pervading creative energy back of all things is aware of itself, aware of what it is doing, aware of how to do it, and we therefore call it Spirit or God. It is omnipresent, omnipotent, and omnipotent, as the Christian Bible puts it. When man begins to assemble in his consciousness the activity of any principle, he begins to say, I am that. This is the centralizing of the authority of the principle in himself. I am renders the mind dynamic instead of letting it rest in potentiality. It becomes dynamic the moment we focus thought upon I am. That focal point is the center always, and from it emanates the authoritative commands that control and determine the entire status of manifest man. The I am must be used to indicate man's true estate, that which he is in fact, and not what he has seemed to himself to be in manifest form. I am that I am, which is the embodiment of the motivating authority of the universe. Beside that I am, there is no true existence, but only delusion. The name I am was God to Moses. It has come down through the ages as I am. I am. To the Hindus it is Aum, which means the same. Likewise to the Aryans it is Aum. The Chinese use it as Tau, Ta. The so-called blind spots in the ether common in our radio and scientific fields is, in a sense, symbolic of the blind spots in human consciousness. The radio beam crosses right through these non-magnetic fields as if they did not exist. Our layers of atmosphere, the concentric bands of atmospheric conditions, are in motion. In our Earth they are stationary. When a non-magnetic field moves over a magnetic field of our concentric bands, a vacuum-like condition is established. When a magnetic field passes over a non-magnetic field on the Earth's surface, it passes right through it and is lost. It is frequently more powerful at night than in the daytime. These non-magnetic fields are like the static states in human consciousness, more intense with greater darkness or ignorance. But the positive radiations of the spiritual I am, the declarations of that which man is, in fact, penetrate through these static fields of his consciousness, and it is as though they do not exist. The persistent declaration of spiritual facts regarding man's nature and his place in the universe eventually will eliminate all these static fields in human consciousness, as well as in his affairs. The one mind is not constantly creating new ideas. It is manifesting ideas that have been created from the beginning, for the one mind is and always has been omnipotent, all-knowing. It has never been, nor will it ever be, more or less than itself. It is all a process of reverberation. It is the same as our radio currents today. They are flooding back and forth or reverberating from one space to the other space. That is, from space to space, as you might say. Thought is, of course, the most potent of any radiation because it has control over the vibratory field of electricity and radio. In fact, both the vibratory field of electricity and of radio will impinge and reflect from the vibratory field of thought, always. Radio follows a track in the atmosphere regardless of a conductor. It follows a true track or trend. It operates through the ether. But thought, in this sense, does not travel, for thought is omnipresent. It is already there, no matter to what point you refer. It is the impingement of thought upon the electrons that causes thought to appear to move. Mind is the motivating element. Thought moving concurrently with mind and in striking upon the electrons produces all movement in the plane of manifest substance.